If your plan is to go to school a particular year, then the best time to start applying is the previous year. To give your referees enough time to be able to write you recommendation letters. You don't want to be on the neck of your recommenders that, can you please write me a recommendation letter within like a week, and then you expect them to stop whatever they are doing to write for you. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Patricia and I'm a PhD student at the University of South Florida, Tampa, Florida. So it's another application year and many prospective students will be looking to apply to schools that they want to be for next year. And I know many of you have the big goal of applying, but you do not know when to start or where to start from. So this video is for you. So I'll be speaking specifically for if you want to apply to school for fall. That's like the August enrollment session for the United States. And it's mostly my experiences, but it's also a little generalized that can apply to you, but where there are differences too, I'll tell you. So this is a rough timeline of when you need to do certain stuff during the application process or what you need to do, and I reckon that it will be different for everyone depending on the program you're applying to, whether it's a master's or a PhD, whether it's in the STEM or in the humanities, whether you're a domestic student or an international student. And particularly for us international students, you need to start as early as possible to allow for the application process one, and then also for the visa processing and then getting your tickets and all that. So these factors may vary, but they are definitely along the same tangent. And so this video will help you to know when to do A, when to do B, what time should you be done with your applications, what time should you expect to hear back, and what time should you start the visa processing. I would say that know ahead of time that grad school applications are kind of quite expensive. So even as you are planning to apply, then you're also planning how you fund the applications. Either you apply very early to meet some application fee waivers, and bear in mind it's not every school that offers waivers, but then the schools that do, you have to apply early enough. Or how are you going to save that money unless maybe your parents have money and then will sponsor or something? For many of us, we kind of apply during national service, so planning your finances too is kind of part of the planning process, and then the timeline for meeting your application requirements. So the best time to start applications is to start as early as possible. Starting from August to October, you want to search for your schools. When you are searching for your schools, you are outlining the requirements and their application deadlines. So what I did that helped me was I created a Word document with tables where I had the school, the program name, because like although my program is communication, every school has a different way of like naming their program. So you don't want to write on your SOP another school's name for this other school's name. So I noted the programs, their deadlines, the requirements. I had a section for requirements, and under requirements I had if they were asking for letters of recommendation, how many were they asking from faculty or other people. Also if they were requesting GRE or not, TOEFL, my SOP and writing samples and all those things. So notes down the requirements, also note down the deadline, which is very key. And I also noted down the application fees, because it's also a matter of cost. Are you able to afford it? And even if you are, having that in mind so that you are not going back to look for information as to how much does it cost. So noting every important detail down and helping you to track which you've been able to complete and all. So from searching schools and creating kind of a document listing all the necessary details, you now work on the documents requested. So within same period, you are contacting your referees, because you want to give your referees enough time to be able to write you recommendation letters. You don't want to be on the neck of your recommenders that, can you please write me a recommendation letter within like a week, and then you expect them to stop whatever they are doing to write for you. You want to give them enough time. So contact your recommenders, your referees earlier on, so that they are able to write a good recommendation letter for you. What are the documents that you need? Your own writing samples, your statements of purpose, your transcripts. Remember, in Africa, a lot of bureaucracy. Ordering transcripts may take a long time, so you may want to like start that ahead of time. If you haven't already ordered your transcript, order it and then have scanned copies where you can attach for the application process. And then later, when you are admitted into a particular school, then you now request for the transcript to be sent from your school directly to the school that you now accept admittance into. Your writing sample. So if you did thesis or long essay, now is the time to look for the soft copy of your work. Also, if they ask for a writing sample, let's say limiting the pages, like if they're asking for 5 pages, then you may want to cut down your thesis into maybe a proposal or any other thing that proves your academic writing skills. So you may want to be working on that. Your statements of purpose shouldn't be a draft. Like, you should write it and then have a lot of people look at it, give you reviews, give you comments, work on it, like a lot of revisions before, like at the end where you finally submit it. So you want to give yourself enough time to work on those documents. Also, if there is any exam requirement, then you want to use that period to kind of study for it and then register for it and actually sit and write for those exams to get all your documents together. If your program requires that you have to have a supervisor before you are admitted, then you want to contact those faculty members that you like to work with. But if it's not required, then just contacting the grad coordinator is enough. So when contacting the grad coordinator, introduce yourself. Let's say, hi, my name is Patricia. I'm in the University of Cape Coast, or I'm a graduate of the University of Cape Coast, and I'm interested in applying to your school. These are my area of interest, and this is what I know you guys are studying, and this is how I fit, and this is how I'll be a good student in your school. Are you taking intake for this year, and will you guys be available to speak with me, maybe discuss application requirements or maybe tips on being a successful applicant? So that's how you kind of introduce yourself to faculty, and this way they know you mean business, they know you are serious, and they kind of know you or remember you from interactions they've had from you, and it's very easier to kind of pick your file over other students who may have not contacted anybody. So that's helps. Also know that when you contact faculty, some may not reply back, they may ghost you, but that's also fine. So I've kind of mentored people in the application process where they haven't even looked at the application form itself, and then I tell them that you have to look at the form. So somewhere by October, if you haven't done that, then you should have checked the actual application link and then see what they require, because they may have requirements on their website, but then filling the form actually will show you some hidden requirements that you may not have known. So somewhere by October, you should be filling the form, filling out the biography part, your name, age, gender, ethnicity, those kind of details, and then some department specific requirements. Like for some, you have to write a short statement about your research purpose and all those things. So make sure by October you've at least filled a chunk of those forms. Also remember that for schools in the USA and for many schools in the abroad, you do not have to do your application in one sitting, where like if you don't finish within one sitting, the code expires or something like we do in Ghana. I don't know about other places, but you can actually fill your application, save it at wherever you are, and then come back and then finish it later. So do that. If not for anything, just do that to see what is required or what you may meet at the final end before you sit down, think you have all the requirements, and then start applying close to the deadline and you find that you need something else. And somewhere around November, you'd want to remind your referees to send in their recommendations if they haven't already. So to do that, you can contact them personally or there are send a reminder kind of buttons on the applications, you can actually see those referees who have already filled in their recommendations for you and those who haven't. So do that to them, ask them again before the deadline. So depending on the course, most deadlines are due by December 1, some by December 15, some by January, but most are due by December. And then for master's programs, there's also a couple that are due by March, but plan to kind of finish all your applications by December 1, because most of them have their deadlines on that. And then their deadline is sometimes, mostly it's 5 p.m. Eastern time, and then you may be in Ghana or Nigeria or any other place, and then maybe thinking it will be maybe 11:55 or something, and then it's the deadline. So be conscious of the time difference too when you are thinking about the deadline, because it's not in the deadline in your home country but then here. While some programs may still be open from January to March, within that same period others are starting to receive feedback from schools they apply to. So you may receive feedback from schools from January, February, March, sometimes April. The latest they will get to you by is May, because you need to process your visa and stuff. So if you hear back from schools, acknowledge receipts of hearing back from them, and if that was your only school that you applied to, then you wouldn't have to wait. You have to reply them immediately that you accept. But then if you had other schools, then you want to wait till all of them have come, or at least the ones that you are really hoping to enter into have come, and then you reply the schools that, I mean, still acknowledge receipts, but then if you apply to more schools, wait to hear from at least all of them before you now make a decision on where you are going to. And immediately you make decision on where you are going to, then start visa processing, start sending in your financial documents like bank statements and sponsor letter and all those documents. So after sending in your financial documents, somewhere from April to May, you will receive your I-20, and then you work on your visa, where you have to pay your visa application fee, fill the DS-160 form, pay your service fee, book a date for your visa interview, and then attend your interview. Especially for this COVID, some students made mistakes of waiting till way late before starting the visa application. So in COVID times, they have a lot of backlogs, and you want to start your visa processing as soon as possible. Immediately you get your admission decision, and then you send in your financial documents and you get your I-20. I would say that starts the visa processing from that end, so that you get an interview date that is favorable, and you can get the luxury to kind of decide what flights to take, so that it's not, you are not paying so much for your flights when you could have planned ahead and then paid little for the flight because it's not so close. So that's all for now. One final tip I'll leave you is that, especially when you are submitting, don't submit on the day of the deadline. Submit at least 3 days, maybe a week. But if you are very late, it should be the day before the deadline, because on the deadline you don't know what will happen. You may be clicking submit and then your network is not working, or they will now say that you haven't submitted this thing and it's so close to the deadline, and you'll be under so much pressure. I've done this before of submitting on that exact deadline, and I tell you, the feeling wasn't fine. So don't wait till that particular deadline. At least your latest should be a day before the deadline to apply. And I wish you a very successful application process. Till I come your way again with another video.